Hello guys and welcome back. Today we're going to be swapping out the brake rotors on my FGX XR6 Turbo. So I bought these brake rotors I think probably a month or so after I bought the car back in, when was it, January or February of 2020. So they've probably been on the car for a bit over 10 months and yeah, they've finally started to just have a little bit of brake shudder, and they're starting to form a bit of a lip, so it's definitely time for them to be changed out. Although none of the drill holes have cracked due to heat or anything, so pretty good testament to DBA and their brake making skills, so pretty happy with that. Also, because I'm running the EBC yellow stuff pads, they're pretty aggressive and they wear down rotors very quickly, which is just one of the downsides of running a really aggressive pad like that. So you either stop really well, but your parts wear out quickly, or quicker than usual, or you are on the opposite side and you have more economical brake components that last longer but don't stop as well. So I know which end of the spectrum I want to be on, so it's up to you to decide where you want to sit, but this is where I'm happy, so it's just down to personal preference. So we'll jack it up, get the wheel off, and yeah, we'll be back then. Alright, so here we go, got the wheel off. As you can see, there's the rotor. Now this is a DBA X Gold. They're a more obviously aggressive rotor than what your standard one would be, and yeah, as you can see, a few parts of the rotor where you can see it's gotten pretty hot, and you can also see a lip forming there on the edge. Now typically when you're going to change your rotors out, you should probably change your pads as well, which is obviously preferable doing both at the same time. But unfortunately I'm still waiting for my pads to arrive, so I'm just going to do the rotor change, and it'll be okay. I still have a fair bit of meat left on the pads, so they'll be alright until the next ones, the new ones arrive, so there's no dramas there. So basically it's just remove the caliper and then the rotor just pulls off. Very simple brake rotor changeover in the Falcons, which is good. Also, for when you want to do your brake pads, you simply come down here and there's a bolt. You just undo this. You have a spanner in here holding this nut on the inside, and then you just put a ratchet on that side, ratchet it off, and then it literally just levers up like that. Slide your brake pads out, put your new ones in, and then clamp it closed, and then chuck it all back together, and it's literally done. Obviously with your caliper, you want to push the pistons back when you put your new brake pads in, otherwise they won't go in, but you'll figure that out when you go to do it. There's also just a couple of bolts there at the back that you'll have to undo to get this bracket off for the caliper, so yeah, don't forget about them ones. Alright, so once you take them bolts out, that bracket comes off, and you've obviously got access to your hub once you take that rotor off. And there you go, there's the old one and there's the new one. Bit of a difference there. So yeah, same brake rotors from DBA. And there's the DBA X Gold, which are there in the Street Series. I reckon they're a really great brake rotor paired with the EBC pads, so if you're looking for a bit of an upgrade, then I would highly recommend having a look at these, because I reckon they're fantastic, pull the car up really nicely. So we'll now be able to fit the new one up and we'll be sweet. And then once you've got your rotor, you literally just slide it back on, make sure it sits over the hub nice, and obviously it's going to sit loose like that because there's no bracket or anything holding it in place. Now depending on which rotor you buy, some of them you will have to get some like parts cleaner or something and just go over the surface of the rotor to make sure that the anti-rust coating comes off. With these DBA ones you don't really have to. On your initial stop this will get just burn off straight away, so you don't really have to, although it's always just good practice to do it anyway, especially if you're getting, you know, greasy dirty hands on it. Yeah, I would recommend just giving it a bit of a clean over and getting off any grease or any dirt or anything like that. So just get a rag and a bit of parts cleaner and give it a wipe over on the face of the rotor, and then you'll be right to fit the bracket back up and put everything back together. So let's do that. Alright, so once you get them rear bolts back in, you're right to chuck your pads back in, and then make sure with your caliper you don't crimp any of the brake lines, otherwise you'll run into some issues. So try and hang it up on something so it stops them lines from being crimped, and then you can chuck your caliper back over and that's the side done. And there you go, all back together, brand new rotor. You can easily do this in under 10 minutes when you get a bit of practice at it. So yeah, it's not a very hard job, just 4 bolts and just a little bit of stuffing around, but that's one side done. Now you can chuck the wheel back on and move on to the other side, so it's that easy. Just a quick update before I chuck the wheel back on. These are the Kumo Extras that if you guys have been watching my previous videos will know that I fitted up on the front of the car when I got these new wheels. These tyres are seriously good. As you can see, they've barely worn down at all from new, and this car is my daily driver, so it obviously gets driven around a lot. These tyres I suppose are probably 10,000 Ks and as you can see they're pretty well new looking. Excellent in the wet and dry, provide plenty of grip, and yeah, they just make you feel really confident on the road. Driving in the wet is just like driving in the dry really. So yeah, pretty impressed with these. They've held up really well so far, and I reckon that they've certainly got plenty of life left in them. So I'll probably put something equivalent to these on the rear. They do another one which is a bit more aggressive, so once this gets tuned in the coming week or so, yeah, it'll obviously need new tyres, and I'm thinking there are more slick version of these would be perfect for the rear. So yeah, I'll look into that and see how we go. But yeah, if you're looking for a new set of tyres that won't break the bank, I'd definitely check these out. These are the Kumo Extra PS91s, and yeah, no, I'm very happy with them. So now is a great time when you have the whole wheel assembly off, to just grab a torch and check out all your bushings and all your components and stuff, all your steering components, because obviously you don't have your wheel off that often, so you're going to want to have a look under here and make sure that nothing is worn out and everything is in serviceable condition. Especially your lower ball joints, they're pretty common to fail, and when they do it's pretty spectacular and yeah, not good. So as you can see, I have a little bit of movement in my upper control arm, and I know that that's because one of the bushings has gone up the top, so I have a new bushing kit for that, and that will get fitted up in the next couple of weeks or so. So that'll eliminate that. I have heard a little bit of noise from this side, and it's just because of that. So it's just the importance of getting under your car and checking things out, and yeah, just making sure that everything's in a good condition, because that's the last thing you need, is something to go wrong when you're driving along. So yeah, just get under. Don't be afraid to give things a good shake and a wiggle, just to see just how the bushings and bearings are faring on things. Good time to check your wheel bearings, like I said, obviously you're going to want to, when the wheel assembly is on, just give it a shake top to bottom and left to right, and if it moves, well then probably a good chance that you need to replace wheel bearings, but mine are fine, so we're all good. So again, same process as before. We literally just take the caliper assembly off with its mount, and then slide the old one off, put the new one on, and good to go again. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so I've got to the stage now where I've got the caliper off, and we're just getting the bracket off now. This very top one here, you don't have to take it out all the way, although this bottom one down here is the one that needs to be taken out all the way. The top one also helps to retain the wheel speed sensor, I think it would be. Yeah, the bracket that it sits in. So yeah, it doesn't have to come out all the way, which is handy. Helps you to locate the bracket more easy when you go to fit it back up. So there we go. Now it comes. These are your slides for your calipers as well, just in case you didn't know. These little bolts here. So these actually need to be greased every now and again. So if you're having brake trouble and you notice that your pads might not be wearing evenly on both sides, then it can generally mean that you might have a seized slide on the caliper bracket, and yeah, you may need to just re-grease, which isn't too big of a deal, pretty easy, and then away you go again. My pads are fine, they're wearing as they should be, but you would expect it from a car that isn't really that old. So yeah, now we have our caliper off, the bracket off, and now ready to take the rotor off. As you can see, it's on there pretty hard just because it's been on there for, you know, a long time, and it's just obviously got hot, cold, and it's sort of seized on there. So you just get your mallet. And there you go. Off it comes. So yeah, it just gets a bit rusty, obviously, because it sits there, and then yeah, just gets hot and cold and sort of seizes itself on there. Also, if you notice that your hub's looking a little bit like this, a bit rusty and whatnot, good idea to just get a wire brush and give that a touch up. So that's what I'm going to do now, and it just helps sit this surface in a bit better so you don't have any weird vibrations and stuff. So yeah, that's important to do. There's this wire brush kit you can get from Super Cheap, and comes with a metal brush, plastic one, and a brass one for doing more delicate jobs. So pretty handy little kit, good for doing small things like this. There you go, it's pretty well cleaned up now. And yeah, that'll be okay to fit the new rotor up now, so yeah, we can move on to that. same deal as before. Get your rag with a bit of parts or brake cleaner and just go around it and just give it a bit of a wipe on the surface front and back just to get any shit off, and then you're right to put them back together. So as you can see, that's all the shit I just got off that one face there, and that's off the back. So as you can see, it's just a good peace of mind just to give it a bit of a clean up. You never know what might have got on there in the manufacturing process. It'll obviously just get burnt off anyway when you brake, but it's just good practice, because like I said before, you just you don't know what manufacturers are putting on their rotors to keep the rust off. So yeah, it's just a good idea just to give them a bit of a wipe down just to be sure. So that's now done. You can get your caliper bracket and chuck that back on. If you forget which way it goes on, obviously just remember that these bits have to mount up with the bolt holes at the back. So that's the way you can tell. Can be a little bit fiddly getting this bracket back on, because obviously you can't really see what you're doing. Right, we finally got there. Just a bit of a pain in the bum it can be. Now I like to just get the Ryobi ratchet wrench and just get them tight, and then just nip them up with the ratchet just to make sure. Alright, so once you've got that tight, you can now take your caliper and you can now chuck this back on. Now just remember, because you have put a new rotor on, it'll be a little bit thicker than what the previous one was, so you will have to just move the pistons back. So I just like to get a piece of wood so I know it's moving pretty flush, and then you just get the G-clamp and just position it as best you can. It's a bit fiddly by yourself, but there isn't. And then that should hopefully give you enough clearance. slide the caliper over. Look at that, perfect fit. Just what we want. And just give it a little bit of a tap to where it needs to be. And make sure that you just tighten them up with a ratchet just to finish them off and to ensure that they're nice and tight. And there you go. That's both sides done and on. Now obviously pretty dirty job working with brakes, especially ones that are like this. They're very dusty just because they're meant for like the track, so they're pretty aggressive. So potentially wear some gloves or something if you really want to protect your hands from dirt, but you know, if you don't really care, well, just soldier on. Obviously when you first start the car, just push the brakes. That'll push the calipers back out so they're nice and tight up against your brake pads. And then yeah, you just want to do a bit of a bed in process with them. Just drive around up to 40 k's and slam on the brakes pretty aggressively. Obviously not to the point where you're locking up brakes, that's too far. You just want to be doing hard braking, and then 40 to 60 k's, and yeah, then your brakes will be sweet to go. Same process for if you did your pads at the same time as well. Yeah, pretty easy process. Takes up to half an hour depending on how stubborn some bolts can be, but it's pretty quick job when you have done it a couple of times. So yeah, no dramas at all. Alright guys, last thing obviously to do is to chuck your wheel back on, and then you've completely finished. So yeah, that's it. Pretty quick video today guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Obviously something very important on your car to maintain, because this is the only thing that stops it. Obviously the rears are pretty much the same. I'll do another video on that once I get some rear brakes, but as the rear brakes don't do as much braking as the front ones do, they're still completely fine, and they won't need to be changed anytime soon. But a little bit different on the rear, but as I said, when I get some rear brakes, I'll do them. I'll do a video for that as well. So anyway guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed today. Make sure you comment, like and subscribe. Helps me out a lot. We're almost at 100 subscribers, so that's pretty cool. Obviously hoping to progress from there and build my audience more, and put out more content for you guys that you guys like to see, because just as enjoyable it is for you guys to watch, it is for me to make these videos for you. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. In the next couple of weeks, the car is going to be tuned, so I'm going to do a video in the next couple of days just outlining the things that are going to go into the car, what's already done with it, my thoughts of how it's going to go. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Anyway guys, hope you guys enjoy your day, and I'll catch you at the next one.